Good morning, my lovelies. I hope you are staying warm out there in the frigid darkness. Unless you live on or south of the equator, winter is coming all over your face right now. What a great time to stay inside and play some video games. And I think you just might enjoy your sessions of Tekken 7 a little bit more, starting at the middle of this month. And the reason I think so is there seems to be a major balance patch coming for the game. There have been rumors of this floating around, and I didn't know where they came from. It turns out it's this single tweet from Harada, and I missed it because I don't have Twitter, but I've actually printed the tweet out and I have it on a physical page in front of me here, so we're gonna read it together. And Harada's kind of fucking around and making jokes and being goofy in this tweet. It's kind of funny, but that also means that it's really difficult to understand unless you speak the language. I just want to go through it and explain exactly what it says, and then I want to talk about why I think this might be the most important and interesting balance patch that we've ever had for this game. It's obviously not going to be the largest, compared to a completely new season, but I think it might be the most important. I'm going to explain why. But let's first read the tweet. So this whole thing started because somebody was tweeting Harada, I think complaining about law, and they sort of Google translated their tweet into Japanese and it didn't come out perfect, so Harada sort of starts out goofing on that guy a little bit. But then he writes, 日本語が難しい場合は英語でどうぞ。12月半ばに Tekken World Tour 5, which is interesting, 全体調整予定ありますが、何にせよこのデジタル界隈で飯食ってて、心理学専攻の俺に呪いなどというオカルトが通じると思うのか。貴様何をし? So he's kind of goofing there at the end as well. The guy was sort of saying he's gonna like curse Harada or curse law players, and he's like, I work in digital media and I studied social sciences. Do you really think I'm gonna be affected by something like a curse? And then he goes, oh fuck, what did you do to me? So he's pretending he got cursed at the end. So like I said, it's not the easiest thing to sort of digest. But the interesting thing is the beginning here where he says 12月半ば, which means the inside or sort of around the middle of December, after the Tekken World Tour ends, 全体調整予定あります. And the word here, zentai, is what really caught my attention, made me very happy about this patch, because that means the whole body of something, the entirety of something. And so we've had a lot of patches for Tekken where they make, these small and not very significant changes, fixed a bug where this rage shard goes through somebody, changed how this character affects somebody when they're hit in the air, stuff like that. But Zentai Chose is like adjustments to the entire roster is sort of what it means. And so if that's true, and the wording is on point here, it means that there are going to be changes for, if not all, then at least a majority of the characters in the roster. And that's really, really interesting. So that really caught my attention, and I have a lot of hopes for this patch. I'm probably going to end up being disappointed, but we're going to have to wait and see. Now, I think it's important to understand that this balance patch comes in two sort of interesting contexts. The first one being that it's right after the end of the Tekken World Tour, and that's why they're waiting. They obviously can't make major balance changes to the game right now. And the other one being that it's the first balance patch that drops after the Season 3 update. In terms of the Tekken World Tour, the nerf that they made to Akuma's meter, it's like the only adjustment that they've made now during the final hours of the tour. And I think that made sense because Akuma was becoming a meme pretty much, and people felt that it was cheapening the tour a little bit. There were even Namco people in the chat, on Twitch banning people from making memes about Akuma, and so they had to do something, and so they nerfed his meter. And I think while it didn't balance Akuma out perfectly, it was not, the correct adjustment. It was pretty much the only thing that they could have done, because if you are a professional player on the tour right now, you're either playing Akuma or you're working very, very hard on your anti-Akuma strats. And the meter bar, you know exactly what he can do with it, and it's visible on the screen. So if they change how that works, then it's very easy to understand. It's very visible to both players. But if you go into the frame data and change, properties of moves, then that's pretty much invisible, and it can really mess you up if you're preparing for other things. You might be surprised, and that will frustrate you as a professional player. So I like that they waited, but I hope that in the patch that drops after the tour is over, they actually make more. I want them to make better changes to the actual mechanics of his moves that don't feel, so surface level, that they actually go in and try and understand what about the move properties is making this character so unreasonable, and then, make some more adjustments. And I'm a little bit sad for the Akuma players out there if that happens, because it's kind of going to cheapen the achievements of the Akuma players on the tour a little bit if they are allowed to have the character the way he is right now, and then the tour ends and now they're going to make him better balanced. That's kind of sad. It's not a great context for that nerf to come in, but who knows, they might not touch him at all. The other and more interesting thing for me personally is the fact that this is the first major patch after Season 3, and I mentioned in the beginning that I think this might be the most important balance patch we've ever had, and the reason I think so is I think that currently the roster balance in Tekken 7 is in the worst state it has ever been. Now that might be a sort of controversial statement, you might not agree with that at all, and I think that sort of comes down to what characters you play, what characters you like, and what characters you dislike. There are definitely people out there who are very, very happy about the Season 3 update and feel like they got exactly what they were looking for with their own character. And there are a couple of characters where they did a very good job. I think Lars is a good example of that. I think Bob is another great example of that. But some other characters, I think there were some very perplexing changes. And I'm obviously biased here because it just so happens to be the case that out of the 4 characters I play, 3 were done really quite dirty. Characters who were already kind of weak and then sort of got worse or didn't improve at all. And then the rest of the roster sort of power crept, so relatively they are weaker characters now. And I think everybody has at least a couple of changes that they looked at and just were really confused about why they were implemented. And so I think that this is sort of Namco realizing that and then going back into adjust the changes that didn't really make sense, or trying to fix some of the problems that Season 3 created. And if that's the case, it's going to be very interesting to see how they're going to go about that. I mean, are they just going to roll back some of the changes that they made? I don't think that's their style, even though there have been examples of them doing that in the past. For example, when Katarina got her new 4424, that lightning fast launcher, that used to jail, making the string extremely powerful, extremely fast for a Punisher, and a lot of people were upset about that. And then in a patch just a little while later, they actually removed the jailing properties of the string, making it duckable and a lot weaker. And then in Season 3, they even slashed the damage of that move like in half. So there have been examples of them implementing something and then just taking it away again. But I think a Namco style is more, okay, we've made these changes, they haven't panned out exactly like we hoped, so now we're going to try and find different things we can do to help the characters that need help and to nerf the characters that maybe need a couple of nerfs. So I'm really interested to hear what you guys think about this, and like, what hopes do you have? I mean, we might be disappointed, and this might be a minor thing that isn't going to affect a whole lot of stuff, but if it is big, like, what hopes do you have for it? Are you happy with your characters the way they are right now? And if not, what changes are you looking forward to seeing? For me, the shortlist is the same that it has been for a couple of years right now. I want range on Miguel's jab strings 1, 2, and 2, 1, and I want clean hit range on down 3 for Lisa. And if I can get either of those, then I'm going to be a very happy player going forward. And then another thing, like I've talked about, even though I don't main Katarina, she's a character that I sort of enjoy and like and play every once in a while. And I think she's been nerfed so hard currently that it's just sort of strange. And I would really love for them to actually show her some attention, because I think she deserves it. And I think her player community deserves it as well. But like I said, definitely let me know what you think about this. We're going to talk about this again when the actual patch notes come out, and I think we might even discuss it on the next episode of Wave Dash, the podcast that I do with Salami and Mainman. So look forward to that, and thank you so much to everybody who supports and watches the podcast, by the way. But for now, I'm going to leave you with this. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm just going to let the rest of this match against this Claudio here play out. But I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day. Stay safe. And I'll see you again in the next video.